expecting a baby, it can be fun to wonder, what will my baby look like? Will they have one parent's eyes and the other's hair? Will they be tall or short? Will they look exactly like one of their parents or not at all? It's everyone's favorite game. But there isn't a foolproof way to know what your baby will look like before they're born, even though lots of apps promise that they can predict your baby's appearance. The role of genetics. Genes do control what your baby will ultimately end up looking like. But the thing about genes is that they are very unpredictable. Children inherit genes from each parent, but different genes turn on and even affect other genes, which can all impact their appearance. Sometimes children end up looking exactly like one biological parent, or even closely mirroring a biological sibling, and sometimes they don't resemble anyone in the family. Many gene combinations are possible. Biological children share 50% of their DNA with each of their birth parents and siblings from the same parents, so there's plenty of room for variation. If blood-related siblings end up looking alike, the mix of genes they inherited from their parents were similar, but each child may also get genetic instructions for different features. For instance, a firstborn child may have one parent's lips, while the youngest may get their lips from the other parent. In fact, a child's bone structure won't be set until in their 20s because so many genes are involved, including those for growth, bone development, and fat deposits, which means that their appearance will change over time too. Here are some ways in which your baby's primary features, like hair color and eye color, are influenced by genetics. Hair color. Babies inherit multiple pairs of genes from each parent that play a role in appearance. These genes determine hair color as well as eye color and complexion. And although scientists have yet to determine how many genes ultimately determine the exact color of a child's hair, they do understand how the process works. The genes that set hair color as well as eye color and complexion also regulate a person's melanocytes, or color-producing cells. Where a baby's hair color will fall on the spectrum, from black to brown or red to blonde, may be determined by how many melanocytes they have, how much of each shade they churn out, and what pigment those make. One type, eumelanin, produces black to brown. The other, pheomelanin, makes yellow to red. Hair color can also change over time. A child's hair may undergo changes as they age, especially as they hit puberty, when hormones can activate genes that cause it to darken or curl. Eye color. Most babies are born with bluish-grayish eyes. This is because the color-producing cells in the iris of the eye need exposure to light to activate. It can take up to 6 months before a baby's eye color stabilizes. Just like hair color, eye color is determined by melanocytes. Over time, if melanocytes only secrete a little melanin, a baby will have blue eyes. If they secrete a little more melanin, the eyes will look green or hazel. Brown eyes occur when melanocytes secrete a lot of melanin. For instance, if both parents have dark eyes, the chances of the baby having dark eyes is high, since the brown allele is dominant. However, if there are blue eyes on both sides of the family, it is not impossible for two brown-eyed parents to have a blue-eyed child. 1. If both parents have blue eyes, it is very likely their child will have blue eyes, but this won't happen every single time. 2. Two brown-eyed parents are likely to have a child with brown eyes. But again, this is not guaranteed. 3. If one or more of the baby's grandparents has blue eyes, the chances of having a baby with blue eyes increases slightly. 4. If one parent has brown eyes and the other has blue eyes, usually there is about a 50-50 chance the child will have brown eyes. Height and build. It's difficult to tell what size a baby will be, since fetal measurements can be inaccurate and influenced by a lot of different factors, like fluid, the pregnant person's body type, and when the ultrasound is performed. And a newborn's measurements don't necessarily predict their future height and weight. Instead, just like hair color and eyes, your baby's size primarily comes down to genetics. There are over 12,000 genetic associations for height, and regardless of a baby's initial length, they will probably grow to their genetically predisposed stature. There are ways to predict your baby's future height if you want. One way to make a rough estimate for a girl is to subtract 5 inches from the father's height and average it with the mother's height. So, for a father who is 72 inches tall, 6'2", and a mother who is 66 inches tall, 5'6", the result is 67.5 inches, 5'7". For boys, add 5 inches to the mother's height and then average that with the father's height. Using the same numbers as above, a son could potentially be 71.5 inches or 61.5. Key takeaways: regardless of what your baby looks like, they are a part of you and share 50% of your DNA. So don't worry too much about the physical traits your baby inherited. After all, these characteristics can change over time. Instead, enjoy time together with your little miracle.